I had 5 seconds to decide. Stay in the car and die, or jump and risk everything. I jumped. The explosion behind me swallowed the SUV whole, along with the body they'd planted to fake my death. 21 days later, I'm watching my husband marry the woman who ordered the hit. From the security room of our mansion, controlling every lock, every camera, every light. He thinks I'm dead. She thinks she's safe. They're both wrong. I should have seen it coming. The way Victor's eyes tracked me like prey. The hushed conversations that died when I entered rooms. The sudden urgency of the Chechen alliance. My grandmother taught me something before she died. In our world, Katya, watch the eyes. They always tell the truth when the mouth lies. Victor's eyes had been calculating my worth or lack of it for months. Viktor Kozlov, Roman's uncle, his most trusted advisor, had been poison dripping into my husband's ear for months. The Begovic family wants legitimacy. Viktor said that afternoon, his voice drifting from Roman's study. They won't accept half measures. She's the obstacle. She, me, Katya Usmanov, the wife who'd survived 3 years in this blood-soaked world by being smart, loyal, and dangerous when necessary. Watch your mouth. Roman's voice was cold steel. That's my wife. That's exactly my point. I'd been standing outside the door, coffee cup frozen in my hand, every instinct screaming danger. In the Bratva, there's an old saying, trust is a currency spent only once. Roman was about to spend his on the wrong people. When Roman found me in the kitchen, his face was carved from stone. He poured vodka at 3 p.m., never a good sign. We need to talk about the alliance. He wouldn't meet my eyes. You'll go to the safe house upstate. Temporary. Just until... Until what? My voice was sharper than intended. Until you marry Alicia Begovic to secure your precious territories? His silence confirmed everything. It's political theater, he said finally. Not real. But Victor's smile behind him said otherwise. 48 hours later, I was in a convoy heading north with a driver I didn't recognize, and guards who wouldn't meet my eyes. Victor had made the arrangements personally. That's when I knew. Roman had drilled it into me during our first year of marriage. Threat assessment. Always know 3 things, he'd say. Your exits, your assets, and who benefits from your death. The wrong route through abandoned industrial districts. The driver's white knuckles, his hand drifting towards something under his seat as we approached a narrow overpass. Exit, the door. Asset, my training. Who benefits? Everyone who wanted Roman vulnerable. Roman's voice echoed in my memory. When you know, you move. Hesitation kills. I yanked the door and threw myself into open air. The key to surviving a fall from a moving vehicle. Tuck your chin, protect your head, roll with the momentum. Don't fight physics, use it. Asphalt shredded my jacket. My ribs screamed, but I rolled, tucked, survived. Behind me, the SUV exploded into a fireball that lit up the sky. From behind a rusted dumpster, I watched Victor's men arrive. Not rescue, recovery. They pulled a charred body from the wreckage, wearing my coat, my jewelry. Victor's voice carried across the wasteland. Confirm identity. Mrs. Usmanov is dead. They'd staged my murder. And Roman had sent me straight to it. Lesson learned. In the world of organized crime, family loyalty is a weapon that cuts both ways. The burner phone had one contact. The emergency code Roman made me memorize on our wedding night. Every partnership needs a failsafe, he'd said. Someone outside the chain of command. Someone who answers to blood, not business. His sister answered on the second ring. Snowfall protocol, I said. It's me. Silence. Then, you're supposed to be dead. That was Victor's plan, not mine. Irina picked me up 20 minutes later. She had Roman's predator eyes but wore her rage like armor where he buried his. She'd been feeding me intel for years, the sister who never trusted Victor's influence over her brother. I've had people watching Victor for months, she said, knuckles white on the steering wheel. When you died, I knew. He told Roman that Chechen rivals targeted you to prevent the alliance. That your death proved he needed the Begovics' protection. Classic manipulation tactic. Create a problem, then position yourself as the only solution. Victor had weaponized Roman's grief. My chest hollowed out. He believes I'm dead. He's destroyed. Irina's voice cracked. Victor's pushing the marriage as honoring your sacrifice. The wedding is tonight, they moved it up to show strength. Tonight. 21 days dead. and Victor had orchestrated everything down to the final hour. "And the bride?" I asked. Irina handed me a phone. Text messages between Alicia Begovic and Victor. "Alicia. The wife needs to disappear before he'll even consider me. Victor. Already arranged. Make sure your father's money is ready. Alicia. Once we're married, how long until he's expendable? Victor. We control him first. Then eliminate him. The empire becomes ours." My hands shook. This wasn't a political marriage. This was a hostile takeover wrapped in a wedding dress. Business principle that applies everywhere from boardrooms to Bratva. The most dangerous partnerships are those where one party thinks they're equals and the other knows their marks. Alicia Begovic, youngest daughter of 5, always overlooked, always underestimated, Irina said. She studied Roman for months, saw her shot at power, and took it. She needed you dead to position herself as his salvation, the beautiful bride who understands his pain. Victor gets his puppet. She gets an empire. Roman gets a bullet. I stared at surveillance photos of them meeting in parking garages, hotel bars, empty warehouses. Tonight they signed documents transferring half his operations, Irina said quietly. Once that's done, they own him. The art of the long con. Make your target feel like they're making their own choices. Victor and Alicia had turned Roman's grief into their greatest weapon. I had one chance. Expose them both, or watch Roman die married to his executioner. "What's our timeline?" I asked, mind already calculating angles. 6 hours until the ceremony, 4 until document signing. In strategy, timing is everything. Strike too early, they adapt. Strike too late, you've already lost. "Take me to the estate," I said. "I want to crash my own funeral." 3 weeks earlier. Through hacked security feeds, I watched my husband destroy his office. Roman swept everything off his desk, monitors, decanters, framed photos of us in Prague. Glass exploded against walls. His roar was raw, animalistic. I'd read about grief psychology in college, how it moves through stages. Denial, anger, bargaining. But textbooks don't capture what it looks like when a man who controls an empire loses control of himself. Victor stood in the doorway, perfectly still, waiting. "She's gone." Roman's voice broke. "I sent her to that convoy. I killed her." "No." Victor's performance was masterful. "Our enemies did this. The Chechens can protect us. I don't want protection." Roman threw a chair through the window. "I want blood. Then marry the Begovic girl. Build something so powerful that whoever killed Katya will choke on their regret." Victor understood something fundamental about human nature. People in pain will cling to any narrative that gives their suffering meaning. He was offering Roman purpose disguised as revenge. I watched grief turn to stone in my husband's face, watched him nod. Now, the chandeliers died the second Roman walked through the door with her. Alicia Begovic, blonde, mid-20s, white dress that cost a fortune, already wearing my jewelry, his hand on her lower back, guiding her into what was supposed to be our home. From the security room, I controlled everything. Every camera, every lock, every light. Roman had taught me about security systems our first year together. The person who controls the infrastructure controls the battlefield. Tonight, I was the infrastructure. I planted evidence in her room burner phone with texts to the bomb maker, blueprints of my convoy route, bank transfers, everything pointing to one conclusion. The new bride murdered the old wife. Frame job 101. Make the evidence tell a story that feels inevitable, not too perfect that raises suspicion, just damning enough to confirm what someone wants to believe. Then I cut the lights. Alicia screamed in the darkness. "Someone's here," Roman barked, his voice cold and deadly. "Secure the building." Someone was here. His dead wife. The woman who'd survived a bomb meant for her. I moved through my home like smoke, every shortcut mapped in muscle memory. Guards swept hallways with tactical precision, hunting a ghost. Advantage is about information asymmetry. They were searching a house they knew. I was navigating a home I'd designed, with blueprints I'd memorized and escape routes I'd planned for exactly this scenario. I waited in Roman's study, his sanctuary. Sat in his leather chair that still smelled like cigarettes and 3 years of shared secrets. The door crashed open. Roman entered weapon first, ready to kill. He froze. 3 years of marriage meant I knew every micro-expression. I watched shock fracture into disbelief, crack into hope, shatter into rage. Katya. My name strangled in his throat. Why didn't you? Because I needed to know who tried to kill me. I stood slowly. And I found out. I slid the evidence across his desk. The phone, bank records, recorded conversations, the bomb maker's confession. When presenting evidence, sequence matters. Start with the undeniable, the texts. Build to the damning, the money trail. End with the irrefutable, a confession. Roman's eyes moved across the documents with lethal focus. I watched comprehension dawn. Victor, he whispered. And, Alicia, your new bride planned everything. Victor was her partner. Once you signed those papers tonight, you'd be dead within 6 months. The truth has weight. You can feel it land, see the moment someone's worldview shatters and reforms around a new, terrible reality. The sound from Roman's chest was inhuman. Then the door exploded inward. Victor, Alicia, and 8 guards flooded the study. Well, Victor's smile was reptilian. The dead wife returns. How inconvenient. Kill them both, he ordered. Make it clean. 4 guards raised weapons, pointing at Victor and Alicia. The other 4 aimed at Roman and me. Irina stepped from the shadows, weapon drawn. Funny thing about loyalty, uncle. You can't buy it when someone's already been paid more. Economics of loyalty. Everyone has a price, but price isn't always money. Sometimes it's principle. Sometimes it's revenge. Irina's people? They'd chosen family over Victor's gold. Victor's face drained of color. I had 3 weeks to prepare, I said, moving beside Roman. Our shoulders touched the first contact in 21 days. You had 21 days of overconfidence. Sun Tzu wrote it centuries ago. All warfare is based on deception. Victor thought he was playing chess while we were playing a completely different game. Roman looked between his uncle, his bride-in-white, his sister, and finally me. The wife he'd grieved, the wife he'd unknowingly sent to die, the wife who'd clawed her way back from a staged grave. His hand found mine, squeezed hard enough to hurt. I looked him dead in the eyes. Choose, Roman, the family that tried to bury me, or the wife who clawed her way back from the grave for you. Roman didn't hesitate. The gunshot was deafening. Victor crumpled, shock frozen on his face. He'd miscalculated one fatal variable. Roman Usmanov loved exactly one person more than power, and she'd just come back from the dead. Down! Roman roared, as Victor's loyal guards opened fire. Combat principle. Stay low, move fast, make yourself the smallest target possible. Survival isn't about heroics, it's about geometry and odds. I dropped and rolled, muscle memory taking over. Roman moved like lethal poetry beside me, each shot precise. We'd always fought well together, synchronized violence, perfect trust. Irina's people neutralized Victor's men in 90 seconds. Through the chaos, I saw white silk fleeing toward the exit. Not tonight. I caught Alicia in the corridor, fisted her platinum hair, slammed her against the wall hard enough to crack plaster. He never loved you like he would have loved me, she spat, blood on her perfect lips. I was going to give him real power. Not this weakness you represent. I leaned close, voice surgical. He had real power. He had me. You just gave him a reason to remember why. Real power isn't control, it's partnership. It's having someone who'll burn the world down to save you, and knowing you'd do the same for them. Roman's shadow fell across us both. Irina, call her father. Alicia's face went white. No, please, just kill me. Death would be mercy. Roman's voice was arctic. Your father will handle this the Chechen way. For conspiring to murder a Bratva boss's wife. He paused. What they do to traitors in your culture. I've heard stories. In organized crime, reputation is currency. Alicia's betrayal didn't just threaten one man, it insulted an entire family structure. Her father's punishment would be brutal, public, and designed to restore honor. Alicia's screams echoed as Irina's men dragged her away. The penthouse fell silent except for cleaners erasing evidence. Victor's blood already disappearing from hardwood. Then it was just Roman and me in the ruins of our home. He stood 5 feet away, looking at me like I might vanish. His hands shaking. Blood spattered his white shirt. Victor's blood. Guard's blood. The price of choosing love over family. Katya, you sent me to die. The words came out raw. I know. His voice cracked. And I have to live with that for the rest of my life. The question is, do you? I looked at the man I'd married. The man I'd almost died because of. The man who'd just killed his own uncle to save me. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about deciding whether the person who hurt you is the same person standing in front of you now. Ask me at sunrise, I said. Dawn broke over Manhattan in shades of blood and gold. Roman and I stood on the penthouse balcony, the city waking below like nothing had happened, his jacket draped over my shoulders. We hadn't touched since the guards left. You let me grieve you. His voice was scraped hollow. Watched me destroy myself. Watched me plan to marry her. I had to know. I kept my eyes on the skyline. If you'd choose power over truth, over me. Trust, once broken, can't be repaired, only rebuilt. And rebuilding requires proof, not promises. I chose you the moment I saw you alive. He moved closer, still not touching. I'd choose you every time, Katya. Even when it costs me everything. It almost did. I finally looked at him. Victor nearly won because you trusted blood over instinct. I know, he exhaled shakily. I know. But you, his hand lifted, hovering near my face like I might shatter. You could have disappeared. Started over somewhere I'd never find you. But you came back. Because you're mine. The words came fierce, possessive. And I don't let traitors take what's mine. Love in dangerous worlds isn't gentle. It's not soft, morning light, and easy forgiveness. It's choosing someone even when they've given you every reason to walk away. Our marriage was never a fairy tale. It was violence and loyalty, and two people who'd learned to survive by becoming each other's blade and shield. Partnership forged in danger. Next time someone tries to kill me, I started. There won't be a next time. His hand finally touched my face, thumb brushing my cheekbone. I'm done trusting family over you. Done listening to anyone but this. He pressed his palm over my heart. He pulled my wedding ring from his pocket, the one they'd taken from the corpse in the explosion. Platinum band with a single black diamond. His hands shook, placing it back on my finger. You're still my bride, he said quietly. The only one that matters. I laced my fingers through his. 21 days of death between us. 21 days of grief, and rage, and betrayal, and survival. I'm not the same woman who got in that convoy, I said. Good. Roman's lips curved into something sharp. That woman trusted too easily. This one. He looked at me with something like awe. This one jumped from a moving car, faked her own death, spent 3 weeks hunting the truth, and crashed her husband's wedding to save his life. Trauma changes us. The question isn't whether we'll be different after surviving something that should have killed us, it's whether we'll be stronger or just broken in new ways. This one, I said, is never leaving your side again. Promise? I pulled him close, tasted blood and smoke, and 3 years of history on his lips. Try to get rid of me, I whispered against his mouth. See what happens. 21 days ago, they tried to make me a ghost. Instead, they reminded me I'm an Usmanov. And Usmanovs don't die, we haunt. Final lesson. Survival isn't about being the strongest or the smartest. It's about being the one who refuses to stay buried. If you felt that if your heart was racing when she cut those lights, if you wanted to scream when Roman chose her, then you need to hit subscribe. Because I've got a whole library of women who refused to be victims. Women who became the nightmare instead. Drop a comment. Team Katya or team, she should have let him burn. I need to know.